November, you guys, it is National Marrow Awareness Month, and people are stressing the importance of how volunteers can help save the lives of those fighting cancer. So Randall Newsome, he's live with us here in studio right now with Olivia Stoy, a 15-year-old girl who's on the front lines, bravely, I might say, of this fight. Randall?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm, privileged to introduce to you guys Olivia Stoy, her mom Megan, and Katie Pappas, who we've worked on a couple of cool stories together already with a Kid Again organization. We're going to talk about how these three came together, but first, we're going to start off with you guys. Olivia, when you found out at 12 years old that you had cancer, what was going through your mind? Do you remember?
The first things that I thought were, I never thought of kids getting cancer. I always thought of just adults, and I never thought of kids getting chemotherapy. So I was really scared, and the first thing that I thought of when I heard cancer is, I'm gonna die. That's what young kids put with cancer, and so it was really scary. My family and I had like a cry session and an upset time, but after that, we just prayed to God and we were done with that. We were just on the positive side and we stayed positive the rest of the time. We had our down times, but we tried to just stay positive.
Yeah, so Megan, you tried to stay positive, but there were some struggles along the way. What were some of those struggles that the family was kind of facing during that time?
When Olivia was 12, she was diagnosed with cancer, and then she was cured of cancer, and it wasn't much after her 14th birthday that her cancer relapsed.
Wow.
And the only way to cure her cancer was to have a bone marrow transplant. And so just even now, we just had a CT scan today. It doesn't get any easier, but you just have to keep praying about it, and you just hope for the best results.
You guys were campaigning and, had the GoFundMe going, and then there's another thing that kind of happened. This business was kind of sparked with the bracelets. Kind of tell me about how that started with the making of the bracelets.
So we started Live It Up to raise money for my bone marrow transplant. And Live It Up, my community just grabbed a hold of it, and they really were helping us a lot. And so an entrepreneur in the community offered for me to make a bracelet, and she would sell it, and then the proceeds would go to Live It Up. And so I did lava beads so that essential oils could go on them, and then the middle beads are my favorite colors. And people just loved them. It was crazy. In a week we had, I don't know, what was it, like $10,000 or no?
100,000.
Wow. See, but it was all going so fast like that I just
couldn't keep up.
Yeah, and so I mean, I see people with bracelets every day at school. My nurses have bracelets. It's crazy.
Wow. And of course, the transplant comes after you guys raise enough money to go through the procedure. And you didn't have to go far to find your donor. It was your little brother, right?
Yes.
Wow.
My whole family got tested, and my sister and parents were both 50% matches, and then my brother was a 100% match. So
Wow.
That was awesome. It was definitely a miracle because I have lots of friends that didn't have sibling matches and had to look further for their match. So.
And you guys have now, kind of made it your mission to help other kids who are fighting cancer, kind of like Olivia was, and that leads me to a Kid Again with Katie Pappas. And how did you guys kind of get connected? How did you hear about Olivia's story?
Yeah, so Olivia obviously is a very inspirational young lady, and we're so thrilled to have her a part of a Kid Again. We work with Riley Children's Hospital and Peyton Manning Children's Hospital, and families are referred to us, and they were one of them and joined us pretty quickly. So we're so thrilled to have her a part of what we do.
Wow, wow. So how does it feel to be kind of a part of something? I mean, it's the same mission. Live It Up and a Kid Again are kind of on the same mission. How does it feel to kind of be a part of that now?
This is really good, and just I'm inspired by all the other kids that have gone through stuff, and so when they apply to Live It Up and they show me what they did with the money, I am so happy. I've always wanted to do something better, like do something big for somebody or something, and so Live It Up just fell into my hands, and that's the same thing with a Kid Again, and I just hope I can do whatever I can to help that and just live it up.
That's right. Okay, so in closing, for you guys, what's next? You know, what's kind of the next step after this? I know, you know, everything seems clear right now, but what's next for you guys?
I have checkups once a month right now and CT scans every 3 months. So far, everything's been going well, so we just hope everything continues to go well. And we'll just see where Live It Up goes. Not sure where that will go, but and then probably continue to work with a kid again. So
Awesome, Olivia. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here, guys. I mean, what more do you need for inspiration? You know, fighting the ultimate battle and then using your platform to help someone else. I just can't think of anything better. I'll send it back to you guys.